The Industrial Revolution was one of the most transformative periods in human history, fundamentally altering how people lived, worked, and interacted with the world. It began in Great Britain in the late 18th century and spread to Europe, North America, and eventually the rest of the world. This era marked a shift from agrarian economies based on manual labor to industrial economies powered by machines and new technologies. It was driven by several factors, including the availability of natural resources, technological innovation, and changes in social and economic structures. As factories replaced cottage industries, urban centers expanded, and societies became more interconnected. The Industrial Revolution reshaped every aspect of life and laid the foundation for the modern world. One of the key factors that fueled the Industrial Revolution was the abundance of natural resources, particularly coal and iron. Coal provided a reliable and powerful source of energy that fueled steam engines, which became the driving force behind industrial machinery. Iron was essential for building machines, railways, and infrastructure. Great Britain's geological advantages, coupled with its vast colonial empire that provided raw materials and new markets, created the perfect conditions for industrialization. Innovations in agriculture, such as crop rotation and selective breeding, also played a crucial role. These advancements increased food production, allowing the population to grow and providing a labor force for the new factories. Technological advancements were at the heart of the Industrial Revolution. One of the most significant inventions was the steam engine, perfected by James Watt in the 1760s. This powerful machine transformed industries by providing a consistent and portable source of energy, enabling factories to operate independently of water sources. The textile industry was among the first to experience radical change. Machines like the spinning jenny, invented by James Hargreaves, and the power loom, developed by Edmund Cartwright, revolutionized the production of cloth. These machines increased productivity, reduced costs, and transformed textile manufacturing from a small-scale, home-based craft into a large-scale, factory-based industry. The iron and steel industries also experienced major innovations. Henry Cort's development of the puddling and rolling process in the 1780s allowed for the mass production of malleable iron. Later, Henry Bessemer's invention of the Bessemer process in the 1850s enabled the large-scale production of steel, which was stronger and more durable than iron. These advancements laid the groundwork for the construction of railways, bridges, and ships, accelerating the pace of industrialization and facilitating the movement of goods and people across long distances. Transportation was another area profoundly impacted by the Industrial Revolution. Before this era, travel was slow and limited by natural barriers. The development of the steam locomotive and the expansion of the railway system transformed how people and goods were transported. George Stephenson's rocket locomotive, introduced in 1829, became a symbol of this transformation. Railways reduced travel time, opened up new markets, and connected rural areas to urban centers. Similarly, steam-powered ships revolutionized maritime trade, allowing faster and more reliable transportation of goods across the oceans. The growth of factories and the mechanization of labor had profound social and economic consequences. Urbanization accelerated as people moved from rural areas to cities in search of work. Cities like Manchester and Birmingham grew rapidly, becoming industrial hubs. However, this rapid urbanization also led to overcrowding, poor sanitation, and harsh living conditions. Factory work was often grueling and dangerous, with long hours, low wages, and little regard for worker safety. Child labor was widespread, as factory owners exploited young workers for their small size and ability to operate intricate machinery. Despite these harsh realities, the Industrial Revolution also created new opportunities for social mobility and economic advancement. The Industrial Revolution fundamentally altered the structure of society. The emergence of the industrial bourgeoisie, factory owners and entrepreneurs, created a new social class that challenged the traditional aristocracy. At the same time, the working class, or proletariat, grew in size and began to organize for better wages and working conditions. The rise of labor unions and social reform movements sought to address the injustices and inequalities created by industrialization. Figures like Robert Owen advocated for utopian socialism, promoting cooperative communities and improved working conditions. The Chartist movement in Britain demanded political reforms, including the right to vote for working-class men. These early efforts laid the foundation for modern labor rights and social welfare systems. The Industrial Revolution also had profound effects on the global economy. It marked the beginning of industrial capitalism, where private ownership and profit-driven enterprise became dominant economic forces. Mass production and new manufacturing techniques led to increased efficiency and lower costs, making consumer goods more affordable and accessible. This period also saw the rise of international trade and the expansion of global markets. Colonies provided raw materials such as cotton, sugar, and rubber, which fueled industrial production, while finished goods were exported to distant markets. This dynamic reinforced economic inequalities between industrialized nations and their colonies, shaping the global economic order for centuries to come. The environmental impact of the Industrial Revolution was significant and far-reaching. The reliance on coal and other fossil fuels led to deforestation, air and water pollution, and the depletion of natural resources. Industrial cities were often shrouded in smog, and waterways became contaminated with industrial waste. This period marked the beginning of anthropogenic climate change, as the burning of fossil fuels released greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. While the environmental consequences were largely unrecognized at the time, they set the stage for the ecological challenges facing the modern world. Cultural and intellectual life during the Industrial Revolution was equally transformed. The Enlightenment ideals of reason, progress, and individual rights continued to shape intellectual discourse. Advances in science and technology fostered a belief in human ingenuity and the potential for continuous improvement. Innovations in communication, such as the telegraph, revolutionized how information was transmitted across vast distances. The rise of mass media, including newspapers and periodicals, created a more informed and engaged public. Literature, art, and philosophy reflected the profound changes of the era, capturing both the promise and the perils of industrialization. Writers like Charles Dickens portrayed the harsh realities of urban life, while poets like William Blake critiqued the dehumanizing effects of mechanization. The Industrial Revolution also had profound political implications. As industrial economies grew, governments adapted to new social and economic realities. The spread of democratic ideals and political reform movements sought to address the inequalities and injustices arising from industrialization. In Britain, the Reform Acts of the 19th century gradually expanded the franchise and reduced the power of the aristocracy. The rise of industrial capitalism also prompted debates about the role of the state in regulating the economy and protecting workers' rights. These debates laid the groundwork for the development of modern social democracies and welfare states. The Industrial Revolution's influence extended far beyond the 19th century, shaping the modern world in profound ways. One of the most enduring legacies was the technological innovation it inspired. The mechanization of industries laid the foundation for future technological advancements, including the Second Industrial Revolution, which introduced electricity, the internal combustion engine, and advanced chemical processes. This period of rapid innovation transformed industries such as transportation, communication, and manufacturing, accelerating economic growth and global interconnectedness. The principles of mass production and mechanized labor developed during the Industrial Revolution continue to underpin modern industrial processes and technological progress. Education and public welfare also experienced significant changes during and after the Industrial Revolution. The need for a literate and skilled workforce led to the establishment of public education systems. Governments recognized that an educated population was essential for maintaining industrial productivity and economic growth. Compulsory education laws were introduced in many countries, ensuring that children received basic literacy and numeracy skills. This shift not only improved social mobility but also fostered a more informed and engaged citizenry, laying the groundwork for modern democratic societies. Public health and social welfare systems also emerged in response to the harsh conditions of industrial urban life. Reformers and policymakers advocated for improved sanitation, housing regulations, and workers' rights to mitigate the negative effects of industrialization. The Industrial Revolution also transformed gender roles and family life. Traditional agrarian societies relied on family-based labor. But industrialization shifted work from the home to the factory. This change disrupted family structures and redefined gender roles. Men became the primary wage earners, while women and children often worked in factories under harsh conditions. Over time, social reformers pushed for labor laws that restricted child labor and improved working conditions for women. These changes laid the foundation for the modern labor movement and ongoing debates about gender equality. The Industrial Revolution also sparked conversations about the balance between work and family life, shaping modern expectations about employment and domestic responsibilities. One of the most profound consequences of the Industrial Revolution was the acceleration of urbanization. As industrial centers grew, millions of people migrated from rural areas to cities in search of work. This rapid urbanization created both opportunities and challenges. While cities became hubs of innovation, culture, and economic activity, they also faced significant social and infrastructural pressures. Overcrowding, inadequate housing, and poor sanitation led to public health crises. In response, governments and urban planners implemented measures to improve living conditions, such as public sanitation systems, housing regulations, and urban green spaces. These early efforts to address the challenges of urbanization laid the groundwork for modern urban planning and public health initiatives. The global impact of the Industrial Revolution cannot be overstated. As industrial economies grew, they sought new markets and resources, driving the expansion of European colonialism and imperialism. Industrial powers exploited the resources and labor of colonized regions, deepening global inequalities and shaping the modern world order. The extraction of raw materials from Africa, Asia, and the Americas fueled industrial production, while finished goods were exported back to these regions. This dynamic created complex economic dependencies and reinforced colonial dominance. The legacy of this exploitation is still evident today in global economic disparities and post-colonial struggles for independence and development. Cultural and intellectual life during the Industrial Revolution also reflected the profound changes of the era. The rise of industrial capitalism and urbanization inspired new artistic and literary movements. Romanticism emerged as a reaction to the mechanization and dehumanization of industrial society, emphasizing emotion, nature, and individual creativity. Writers like Mary Shelley and William Wordsworth explored themes of technological advancement and its impact on humanity. Later, the realist movement depicted the social realities of industrial life, highlighting issues of poverty, inequality, and labor exploitation. These cultural responses to industrialization continue to shape contemporary artistic and intellectual discourse. The Industrial Revolution also reshaped international relations and power dynamics. Industrialized nations gained significant military and economic advantages, enabling them to expand their influence globally. The development of advanced weaponry and transportation systems allowed industrial powers to dominate less industrialized regions, leading to the expansion of empires and the reorganization of global power structures. This period of imperial expansion created geopolitical tensions and rivalries that ultimately contributed to conflicts such as World War I. The industrialized world's demand for resources and markets continued to drive international competition and shape the global landscape for centuries to come. Environmental consequences of the Industrial Revolution continue to affect the planet. The widespread use of fossil fuels, deforestation, and industrial pollution initiated long-term environmental degradation. Urban centers experienced significant air and water pollution, and industrial processes led to the depletion of natural resources. This era marked the beginning of anthropogenic climate change, as greenhouse gas emissions from industrial activities began altering the Earth's atmosphere. Modern environmental movements and sustainability initiatives are, in part, responses to the ecological challenges that originated during the Industrial Revolution. Addressing these environmental legacies remains a critical challenge for contemporary societies. Despite its challenges and complexities, the Industrial Revolution fundamentally transformed the human experience. It increased life expectancy through medical advancements, improved living standards for many, and created unprecedented economic opportunities. However, it also intensified social inequalities, environmental degradation, and cultural dislocation. The dual legacy of progress and disruption continues to shape modern societies, highlighting the enduring impact of this pivotal period in history. The Industrial Revolution's influence extends into the digital age. The principles of mechanization, mass production, and technological innovation continue to drive global economies and shape daily life. The Information Revolution, characterized by advances in computing and communication, mirrors the transformative processes of the Industrial Revolution. As societies navigate new technological frontiers, the lessons of the Industrial Revolution remain relevant, reminding us of the profound and often unpredictable consequences of innovation and change. The story of the Industrial Revolution is not just one of machines and factories, it is a story of human ambition, resilience, and the ongoing quest to shape the future.